Hello. I have been feeling again. Never ends, what do you know? Been feeling again, and I have been noticing a bunch of things, but I mainly want to just I think I just need to external processor. There's like a funnel of things that will get me to my point eventually. Been reflecting on a relationship that ended and kind of seeing how it impacted me, because there was a more certain part of my mind that wanted to keep it in this little bubble of being only something good. Plus, I think there was a period of grief right after it ended that started to become dysfunctional. And I explained in one of my therapy sessions, like a month after it happened, I was like, it's like my brain just kind of shut it off and is telling me to forget about it because I just can't process it anymore. And it just hasn't processed it or whatever for a few months and just hasn't touched it. And I think it felt a bit too intense, a bit too quickly, and I think my brain knows what it's doing. I trust it. But now it's coming up again. It's coming up when I'm a bit more settled and I'm a bit more open-minded to popping the bubble of something just being perfect and good, even though it ended. And I'm starting to actually see that I'm left a lot more anxious than when I went into it, which sucks to realize that. And trying to mediate with the feeling of anxiety, because if you have I've got my attachment style is predominantly secure, I would say, it was disorganized. I grew up with a very disorganized attachment experience. I've done a lot of work on it, and so I would say I'm mostly secure, disorganized. I experience both anxious and avoidance, and depending on who I'm interacting with, it can bring out either one. I think that's true for everyone, but also maybe it's actually not. I don't know. Who knows? All I've done is study counseling, so I'm not an expert. This is just what I understand. I understand. This is what just blah, 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 blah. What I just said is only my understanding. It's not a professional or primary source of understanding, is what I meant to say. But yeah, I've recognized that because of how things were left, because of how I was left, yeah, I'm more anxious, and that's leading me to feel a lot weaker. And I'm trying to understand that part of myself again. I'm trying to regulate that part of myself again. And I'm trying to understand that letting go is safe. And I don't even just mean for that connection, I just mean in connection with other people, which is where I've seen it come up. I've seen it come up when somebody else's boundaries or need for space leaves me wondering if they're just gonna leave me. And it makes me want to cling on and hold on and fill up the space with me and connection and relationship. And I haven't seen that part of myself in a while. And it makes me feel weak that I'm seeing it. I'm trying not to allow that to define me, because I know it's a product of circumstance. But yeah, it's been a bit of a shock. Especially as somebody who the most recent disorganized part of me I've seen is my more avoidant. In the past in the past few people I've dated, I saw the avoidant, but then the time before that, it was definitely anxious. But that person really helped me with my anxiety. And so that kind of quelled a lot of that and healed a lot of that. And then I dated somebody else, and then I dated this person, and both of those times I kind of saw my more avoidant parts pop up. So it's been a while since I've confronted this part of myself. And I think it's just, well, not I think, it's due to the circumstances of how things went. And there's multiple things. It's like I'm trying not to swing into like weaponization of like victimization. Like I'm trying not to demonize the situation because I'm hurt, because just because you're hurt doesn't mean somebody's awful or that the situation was awful, or you know, like it's not it. I don't need to dysregulate or I don't know, like kind of like manipulate the situation or the memory to serve my feeling. And I'm trying to like hold that while also feeling like the reality of like, or while also facing rather the reality of stuff. It's not the perfect bubble. It's not lovely. It's not all these like wonderful things. It's actually quite a few like things where it's like, oh, that's not great. And my friends are helping me see that, and I'm helping myself see that. And I think that's really lovely and really important. You can't like heal on your own, and you need your friends. But yeah, I'm having to find that space of self again. And I'm having to trust that another person's boundaries are safe to respect and trust, and to see them as secure. Or like, I don't know, I don't want to label this person as an angel, but like a current person. Yeah, I'm not labeling them as like angelic, but I'm trying to like label and see them as fine and normal, where it's what I noticed, like my anxiety, like it's where I noticed my anxiety, like somebody needing space or not replying. I've been pretty great about that in the past because it's how I am, but I just saw myself yesterday start spinning, like just start spinning into, oh, is this person like spent time away from me and then they're just gonna leave me? And like that wasn't even like a conscious thought that my voice said, but it was just that memory that drove me into insecurity and then made me feel weak. And I felt out of control, and I felt all of my focus go on to holding on to this person. No matter how dysregulated I was feeling, like no matter however I want to describe it, like weak or dysregulated or out of balance and like desperate or anything. Like I wasn't worked up into like a huge tizzy, but I could feel it beginning, and all of my energy went into how can I stop this person from leaving me? And that's like the thing about the anxious attachment, is that in like your deepest moment of vulnerability, you abandon yourself. You commit the abandonment that you're so afraid of to yourself, rather than for the love of anything feeling the abandonment from that person. And that's what prolongs the cycle. Just like how it's the same with avoidant. Like I think I've touched on this before, but like the whole thing of attachment styles is that like what that person enacts is what they eventually, like what that person's striving for from another person is what they wound themselves with, and it's like this sick cycle. Like anxious people avoid themselves, or abandon themselves in favor of another person and like attach there. And then avoidant people attach to themselves and abandon another person, because that's like, you learn, that's however you were taught when you were growing up, it's what you eventually enact and learn. But I got taught both, so but I'd say that like for the majority of like, at least like I had a proof, and we all have that like thing that happens to us at 19. For some of us it's a relationship, for some of it's other stuff. We all have that stuff that happens to us at like 18, 19. That taught me that I was an anxious person, because I think before then I had been very avoidant, and that taught me I was anxious as well. And I was like, oh, fun, we are a multifaceted woman, we can experience so many polarities of the world. How good, how fun, yes, this is good. And then I promptly just like lost my shit the next time I like tried to date someone. Yeah, but then there was one person that I'm really grateful to, quite genuinely. Not that they're perfect, they also are a little bit whack, because they brought out my anxiety, but a lot of the ways they acted were pretty secure. And that healed a lot of it. And that was maybe like a couple of years ago. And since then, I've really had to be focusing on healing my avoidant, like my tendency to be like, ugh, no. And so it's been a while since I've seen this part of myself. And initially, in reflection this morning, I just wanted to ignore it. I wanted to not face it. I wanted to keep in this like pretty little bubble of idealism of just like, no, it couldn't be that. Where it's like blaringly obvious that it is. It is the thing that I thought was once so perfect and so lovely. Maybe not perfect, but so lovely. And there's no way that it could leave me with something to heal from. Because I think I read or heard something, it was like a blessing. It was like, may you experience a love that you never have to heal from. And I think I've always put that past person in that category, like, oh, there's just nothing I would have to heal from that person. It's only given me blessings. And yeah, this morning I'm understanding that that's not so true. And that's sad. But it's also sad to think about how much of myself I've abandoned in order to hold that ideal. Like how much of myself I have ignored and not seen for the sake of viewing this person and this relationship as a blessing. Like the pain that I've ignored, the parts of me that I've not seen, again, just enacting that anxious abandonment of self. Yeah, it's not great. You can cut through the tension or like the heaviness of that with like a knife. It's not great. Doesn't feel good. Straight up, doesn't feel good. Hate it, actually. Wish I could just go back into delusion. Wish. But that would mean abandoning myself again. And we're not in that. We're not in the business of it. And we're also not in the business of weaponizing my pain. Because there's a part of me that even as I'm saying it wants to just like get angry and then like point out every single thing that I could flaw the relationship or that person for, and then just sit on my high horse being like, and that's why they're fucked. But I don't want to do that. That's not fair. And so I think I am turning again to the Pisces of just opening. And I think a part of me needs to forgive oh, even if I just said that word, my whole body was like, I'm not ready. I was gonna say, like, forgive that person for being how they are. But there's a part of me that isn't ready. I don't want to. I think because I'm turning to forgiveness to get myself out of this place of feeling the pain. Yeah, I think I need to feel the pain. I think I need to feel the pain. And I think I need to connect back to myself. And I need to trust that that's a good thing. And I need to trust that I'm not going to lose anything by doing that. And it's funny, it's like, and it's funny that, like, this is a thing because, well, no, it's not funny that this is a thing. It makes complete sense. But I was just going to move on to say, it's like kind of a roundabout point, but it kind of exemplifies why healing yourself and healing in relationship are two different things. I was talking about this with one of my best friends, and it's like, it's why you could exit a relationship that completely destroyed your sense of self. And so you need time alone in order to heal your relationship with yourself. But when you need to heal how you are in relationship to others, you need to experience that in connection to another. And it's why sometimes you can be caught as an individual that when I'm single and when I'm not wanting to connect with someone, I love my time alone. And I love being alone, and I know all the things that I want to do, and I know how to live a life as a single person with friends and family. But then when I'm in connection and I experience this anxious side of myself, it's almost as if I lose, I don't know that self anymore, because I'm no longer that singular self. I'm that self that shows up in relationship. And it's almost like you have different bodies of your person that show up, or I don't know, I find it so interesting how attachment and connection and singularity and like connection just brings out all different parts of us. And you can think that you are this one person and know yourself as this one person, and that is true, while simultaneously you will be completely different in the you that tries to connect. It's like you have different tools. It's like the tools are like labeled one color. That's why I say it's like feels like you have different energetic bodies. Because it feels like my energetic body when I'm single is just like, for fuck's sake. For fuck's sake? Ooh. For like metaphor's sake. For metaphor's sake. Like my single body is blue, and it can like touch all things that are blue, green, and cool toned. And then the energetic self that comes into relationship when, I'm trying to connect, suddenly becomes like only warm tones. And like, so every single tool, every single self that is a part of like this different color spectrum, I'm not in that level of consciousness, so I can't grasp at it. I need to create like a different consciousness, and I need to recreate the tools, or I need to find another way to like access that part of me while being on a different spectrum. And if that makes sense, that's what I'm kind of grappling with right now, is that I know the part of me that can take up my own space and connect with myself. And I know it's safe to be her, and I know I thrive when I am her. But I guess I'm just triggered because I've been through something that changed me. And I need to rediscover what it is to be myself in connection with another person, and understand that that's safe, and I'm not going to lose somebody by being that. And I can just feel myself protecting the past person in my brain. not wanting to blame them, not wanting to flaw them or fault them. And I think I need to be careful about how much I do. Because again, I don't want to swing into that like victimized, like, you're the cause of everything and I hate you, because that's just not true. I don't ever want to see them again, but I don't hate them. You know? I'm fine with seeing them, but I don't want them back in my life. I think that's something that I had to like do for myself, was another thing that like, we all have that person that's like, you know, that we're weak to. And I've always told myself and even that person that my heart would always be open to them. But I've understood now that like, it just can't. Sometimes you have to go outside of your feelings for what someone means to you and see how they treated you when you've let them in. And it's not necessarily like labeling them as like, they've treated me like that, so therefore they're a bad person, but how their person and their wounding, what it looks like when you let that into your life and what their puzzle makes of yours. And if it's not, there's a lot of like beautiful, like flouncy, like romantic things that this person gave to me, and there was some healing as well. But yeah, there's aspects of that I can't trust anymore. As much as there is so much meaning, and that's hard. It's hard to discern when someone or something means so much to you, but it just isn't good for you. Yeah. It's a hard one, but it's good. I think I'm going to come out of this like having learned a lot about myself. And hopefully with like a greater capacity to trust again. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm also trying to spend less time on my phone. And turns out that doesn't happen unless you actually try. You know, it doesn't actually happen until you start choosing consciously to not do that. And I know I say this as like I'm filming on my phone, but I mean that in the way of like, yeah, charging my phone outside of my bedroom and feeling and acknowledging that like when I wake up, the first thing I want to do is go to my phone, and like my brain might be like, it's just to check the time, or it's just to check to see if this person's messaged you. It's just. And it's like, no, Annabelle, you're not going on your phone. So don't go on your phone. Find something else to do. You know you have like 3 hours before work. You don't need to check the time. And it's like, oh, fuck. There's actually just this unconscious pattern that just makes me want to be glued to this little brick. And I haven't wanted to like admit how strong that pull is. But alas, it is. Feeling good though. And also just sitting with boredom. And then also finding that when I sit with boredom, like my body like does just find things that it wants to do. Like it'll do the washing of like the tea towels that need to be washed for like a good 4 months. Because you know, you just like buy a bunch of tea towels and you just use them. And then once you just, it takes me a while to get through all of my tea towels. So just needed to do that, and I didn't. But then yesterday I did, and I was like, oh my god, wow. And you can make things and cook things and try new things and blah blah blah. And it's actually like, okay, when I give myself the space, I'll actually do stuff. When I have the space to connect to myself, I actually see that the self that I am is quite healing and is quite loving and is quite frustrating, but is quite strong. And that's been nice. It's been nice to feel myself again. I say again as if it's been like a long time. It's not. But you know, when you go into your wounding, sometimes it can just misconstrue time and space, and it's hardly real, and it's hard to grasp, I think, as a concept anyway. But yeah, I think when you go into like wounding or triggers, all concept of like linear time just kind of goes away. And sometimes I feel like that if I'm not in a triggered state, but my memory just feels a little bit more intact. But when I go into my emotions, my memory just seems to just like splay and just be like, you've been here forever. Now that you're in a feeling, this is the only thing you're going to feel forever and ever and ever. And then it isn't. And you're like, whoa, actually that only lasted like 10 minutes. What the fuck? But it feels like a lifetime in some way. Just regulation, man. Ain't it fun? Ain't it fun living in the real world? Anyway. One thing I have tried that I'm so surprised by is I saw bone broth hot chocolate being a thing. And it's so good. It's so good, especially when you make it with cacao, because cacao is like really rich and so it kind of cuts everything. But I've had bone broth matcha this morning because in the morning I tend to drink matcha and like matcha moringa and other stuff, but that's like the focus. And then I added bone broth to it this morning. It's great. It's so good. And it's good for you. Sorry to any vegans. Sorry about it. One I use also has lion's mane, reishi, and shiitake. And that's great because I haven't had any of those mushrooms because I usually have them in powder form to add them to my like cacaos and drinks and blah blah blah. But I haven't had any because I haven't had the money to buy them. But they're in this. And then I add my little maca, my little ashwagandha, so my adaptogens are all there. It's perfect. And I can have it in the morning and it doesn't actually, like, I mean, if you look to taste it, if you try to taste the bone broth, you can. But if you just kind of drink it, it's fine. It's like anything. If you like want to be upset by something, you can. If you want something to be ruined, you can ruin it. But I don't know. It's working. It just makes everything feel, it makes things feel a bit thicker. Like everything's like a little bit creamier, a little bit thicker. And there's like this slight creaminess because there's bone. It's weird when you think about it. But it's like, and it's similar to the creaminess that like milk gives, but it doesn't give that like dairy feeling. And I use a mixture of coconut and macadamia milk. That makes me sound like I'm rich. Both of them are out of date. No, macadamia milk is out of date. That's why I got it for $2. And the coconut milk, that was a different thing. Usually I just have soy, but I've been feeling like a gift. Actually, why did I buy the coconut? Oh, because I wanted to have iced cacao. And that was a good decision. Yum. A good decision. It was a really hot day and I was like, yummy, I'm gonna make this. And now I just have like a fuck ton of coconut milk that I have to use, so. Anyway, now I'm just talking for the sake of talking. I kind of want to, there's a part of me that wants to like share some of those things a bit more. Although I know there's a lot of people that already do that. And a part of me is like, there's so many people that already do that, Annabelle, you don't need to do that. But maybe it would be nice. I don't know. I also need to like release some fear about being judged. Because I'm feeling very creative and like I want to create and share. I think if I feel that, I just need to trust to do it. And it'll be okay. Anyway, hope this like made sense. I'm not sure. I never know. Hopefully you get something from this. Even if even if it's just a sense of like companionship in like feeling or struggle. Because I feel like I'm always struggling. Not always, I'm not always struggling, but that's what I voice more. Anyway. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're feeling good. And yeah, good luck with anything, with whatever you're feeling, whatever you're kind of going through. Be kind to yourself. Be on your team. And don't forsake the space in your heart for yourself, for others. Give that space back to yourself and trust that that's the right thing to do a lot of the time. And it's safe. And if you lose anything as a result of that, it wasn't yours. And if anything can leave you, then it should. And that's okay. And it's hard, and you'll still feel ways about it, but feelings are safe and feelings are fine. And feelings are meant to be felt. And they'll love you and give you a lot more wisdom and embodiment when you do feel them.